Hi, my name is Keisha Osei, and today I'll be chatting with Bill Kelly. Bill stars as Sheriff Jackson in the highly anticipated film Where the Crawdads Sing in theaters July 15th, and has also been seen in many fan favorites such as Hillbilly Elegy, True Detective, The Wonder Years on ABC, and Bloodline. So who's Bill Kelly? Bill, would you care to give us a brief introduction?
Wow. I'm somebody who's spent the majority of his adult life in radio broadcasting as a DJ starting in 1981, fresh out of college. And, 41 years later, I guess 31 years later, at the age of 50, I decided I was going to try to become a professional actor. I'm in a very fortunate position where I've got the Florida State University Film School in my backyard. So I, in 2004, started doing some student films as a hobby. And after about 30 films, I decided I was going to try to make a go of it, find an agent, and see if I could do anything on a professional level. And, we're, I think, about 11 years in now. So it's been a pretty good run so far.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that introduction, and I'm looking forward to our chat. So I want to start off. So originally you're from Richmond, Kentucky. How old were you when you moved to Florida?
Yes. I was 25 years old when I moved to Tallahassee.
Tallahassee. And was that for the career, or was it just, I want to move to Florida?
Well, given the fact that I spent 3 months in Iowa, the coldest 3 months of my entire life, it was time for a change, and I, had gone back to Kentucky after that short stay in Iowa, and I pursued radio down here and moved to Florida and started here in 1986.
Now, what started radio for you?
I started college, actually vocational school, and then into college, wanting to become an architect. And I'm sitting there at my drafting table one day looking out at the spring, and do I want to be stuck inside an office all day drawing buildings and pylons and stuff like that? And my other dream had been to become a radio DJ. So I dropped my pen, and after class went to my advisor and said, I'm going to change majors. And he said, you're 1 year away from a degree. And I said, yeah, no, but I got to do it. And pretty much never looked back. I was very fortunate. I got to know some good people. Sam Champion and I were in the same radio broadcasting class. You probably know him from Good Morning America, Weather, and the Weather Channel now.
Mm-hmm. So before making, I guess, that switch from radio to acting, you mentioned you spent 39 years or so working for Clear Channel Radio and iHeartMedia. That's quite a long time to be on air. So what was that experience like?
Well, I mean, it was actually 14 years on the air, and the rest of it spent as account executive selling radio advertising. I still do a ton of commercials. Voice commercials, voice stuff from all over the country, pharmaceutical stuff and things like that. So it's kind of fun to get in the studio and get behind a mic again and do some fun projects. But yeah, it's a long time. Radio people have hopped around forever, and I just wasn't one that did it. I've worked for 5 radio stations in my entire career.
Nice. Was there one particular radio station that you probably stayed with the most that you were like, I can see myself planting here?
94.9 TNT in Tallahassee, Florida. It's a 100,000 watt country station, and I was the afternoon drive. I think I did every shift on the air, with the exception of, I don't know, I think I did a few overnight shifts. I tell people I did everything in the building except climb the tower and change the light bulbs.
Oh, nice.
Because I pretty much did everything. But that one is, that's the one I spent the most, on air years with, and really developed a good niche in the community, a good following in the community, and did a lot of community stuff. DJ'd in a club for 28 years.
Nice.
my getting out of the DJing in the nightclub. Stetson's on the Moon is the nightclub, and it's I started there when I was 25, and it ended up me being older. We'll just say older, and I'd get 18-year-old kids walking in going, "Hey, are you Bill Kelly? My mom and dad met here. They said to tell you hi." And I'm thinking, it's probably time to retire from the nightclub scene.
But I mean, that's very sweet, though, that you're getting that kind of, reaction from folks still, right?
Yeah, the funny is, I don't feel old. I keep up, I did mobile DJ for a long time. And honestly, I know more new hip hop, dance, EDM, rock. I know more new songs than most kids know. I can, mix music and stuff and my turntables and the whole 9 yards. So I don't really feel old, but time is of the essence, and it's slowly creeping up on me.
I would never use the word old. I think you're just living your best life. But what did you end up doing beforehand, if you don't mind me asking?
I think I am. What did I end up? What now?
What did you do beforehand? So before radio, we all have our odd jobs and everything like that. What was your odd job?
Oh, wow. My first job was at a Sonic drive-in, and Classic. I did Wendy's, and I worked at a supermarket for a short time, and I set up waterbeds as a part-time job. So I didn't have a lot of jobs before I went into radio, and it was, knock on wood, it's been my dad said, please don't go into radio. You won't make any money doing it. And I know a guy that did it. And I pretty much said, yeah, don't tell me not to, because then I'm going to really go in. Mm-hmm. But it's been a great career. I had a great career in that.
Yeah. And so I see you're also a voice actor. Is that how you broke into the acting scene?
No. Radio is kind of an acting job. Mm-hmm. When you're an on-air radio personality, your job is to entertain people and give them information on events and star information and news reports and just a plethora of different things. And one of the mottos that I always had was you hung your emotions on the door outside the studio when you walked in, and you didn't reveal what you were really going through. So in a sense, you're kind of acting every day you go on the air. You're playing this, person who's living life and things are good, and you don't let your personal downfalls become part of your air shift. So it's kind of acting in its own sense. And then, the FSU Film School, I saw a fax come in one day that they were holding open auditions. And it's something I always wanted to do, but I don't live in LA. I'm so far away from, the acting community. It just seemed like, well, this is going to be my only shot at really getting out there and having some fun. And that's kind of how it started.
Well, actually, let me bounce this conversation off of you. So I have a friend who just recently started voice acting, and she made the argument that voice acting and on-screen acting are two very different methods that can sometimes suffer in production when somebody, let's say like an on-screen actor who's so used to using their physicality, tries their hand at voice acting, and vice versa. What do you think about that?
It is different. It is a difference, and I think it's a difference in the script of what you're doing. You're doing an animated series, you're going to have a little bit more oomph and pizzazz in your voice, as opposed to doing a game, a video game. A friend of mine that I worked with on the TV series 6, Barry Sloan, is forgive me, I can't remember the character's name, but he is the main character in the Call of Duty now.
Okay.
So he's got the whole dots and everything, and his bit of voice acting is quite a bit different from what it's probably a little closer to what would happen on a soundstage or on a movie set. But yeah, to voice act some of the stuff that people are doing, a lot of it's animated. Probably most of it's animated. All of it's animated. It's a lot different. You have to put a little bit more into it, because you're trying to match what's going on screen in somebody's drawings.
Right.
And I haven't done that kind of voice acting.
Oh, you
I'd love
haven't?
to do
Okay.
it, but that's not something I have.
All right.
Yeah, my voice acting is doing for some different projects that are a little bit more low key.
Low key. Give me an example of some of your low key projects.
Wow. Commercials.
Okay.
Hey Bob, nice sprinkler. Where'd you get that? It's that type of voice acting.
Very radio voice acting. Right. Got you. So you've worked
Very
with...
radio voice. I did a lot of...
Oh, no, please continue.
No, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just about to remark on the fact that you've worked with a lot of big names in Hollywood. So Mark Wahlberg, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Anthony Mackie in Pain and Gain, Samuel L. Jackson in The Banker, Amy Adams, Glenn Close, and Hillbilly Elegy, just to name a few. What is something, I guess, that you've taken away from your fellow co-stars that will always stay with you?
That they are just people. They're just people. I mean, Glenn Close is a gem of a lady. She is down to earth as can be. We went to look at the site that we were going to shoot Hillbilly Elegy at, the house that we were going to shoot at, and we'd met at a clubhouse type of thing for a country club, and then we're taking vans over to where we're shooting at, and it had been raining quite a bit. Well, there's mud everywhere. And Glenn's out there in flip-flops and a rain jacket after the rain. And she's just traipsing around the mud, and it's squishing up between her toes. Just down to earth as can be. And we sat on set and just chit-chatted about normal stuff. Dwayne Johnson is a great guy. I've worked with him a couple times, worked with him in Ballers, and just delightful people. I mean, they really are.
Now, funny you mention, I'm recalling a time early in the pandemic where my mom does this thing. She likes to watch Netflix, and she'll click on things without not necessarily looking at the title. And she'd happen to click on Hillbilly Elegy. And full circle, I was like, hey, Mom, guess what? This is happening now. And she's like, oh, that's great. So thank you so much for allowing me to interview today. So on top of...
thank you. Pleasure's mine.
Well, on top of the multiple projects that you've got going on for you, you've appeared in over 50 film and TV projects, your most recent being Where the Crawdads Sing, where you star Sheriff Jackson. Can you tell us about the upcoming film, just a little bit more about it?
Right. Well, Where the Crawdads Sing is basically the story of Kaya, who was abandoned as a child, left to raise herself to adulthood in the marshlands of North Carolina. The town of Barkley Cove has known her simply as the Marsh Girl for years, which further isolates her from being involved in the community. She meets two young men in the town, forms relationships that open her up to the world outside of the marsh a little bit more. However, when one of them is found dead, she becomes the main suspect within the community and law enforcement. And what actually happened to the young man as the case unfolds becomes a little foggy, threatening to tell some of the secrets that the marsh holds. So it's a great story. It's a story of female empowerment. It is, this young person who's been abandoned, and she shows incredible resilience and adaptability, and she ultimately recognizes that she still longs for that human connection outside of the marsh. So, it's a great film based on a book by Delia Owens, which has sold, 17 million copies, 12 million, over 12 million copies worldwide, translated into multiple languages. It's still selling. Taylor Swift has done a song for the film called Carolina, and now that has introduced a whole new group of people who haven't read the book to go and pick up the book. But it's a team of incredibly powerful Powerful team of creative women, director Livy Newman, Academy Award nominated screenwriter Lucy Alabar, Reese Witherspoon, Lauren are producers at Hello Sunshine, executive producers, Polly Morgan, our cinematographer. I mean, the list goes on of just an incredible powerhouse team of creative women. So it's a film that I think that just seeing the previews, I'm blown away. I just,
right.
I am very blessed to be a part of this project. That's all I really tell you. I consider myself to be very fortunate.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to watching this. I love myself a good mystery kind of movie. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got the role?
Wow. I was in the middle of reading the book when I got the audition. And then I was just about ready to start the final chapter when I found out I got the part.
Nice.
So, Reese's book club is amazing to me. I pick up every book that's got her decal on it. And they're actually working on another one that I just finished reading. And Reese has got an incredible eye for novels that are going to make great screenplays, and I think she picked a fantastic one with this one. But did the audition, and usually with auditions, you do your audition and you send it off and you hope for the best, but you kind of forget about it because you can't sit there and dwell on something that's completely out of your control.
Right.
You just give it your best and hope you get a phone call.
Well, can you describe Sheriff Jackson a bit for us? Because what was it about this character that intrigued you so much?
Well, Sheriff Jackson is, he's, being that I was midway through the book, they gave me a little bit of insight as to what kind of person this was. But he's a lawman who has great instincts. He has great hunches. He looks at clues and sees things in a different light and says, he's like a dog with a bone. He's not going to give up on what he feels is going on.
Right.
But I think he's also in with the community where he's got this, looking at the Marsh girl going, something's off, or she's always a suspect to pretty much everyone in the community, even Sheriff Jackson.
And so what was your first reaction when you got the script?
I hate to coin a phrase, but
right.
It was Lucy Alabar just did a fantastic job with this script. It's a good script. I'm really, really, really fortunate that I got to be involved in this project. It's an amazing script. I think when you see it visually, you're going to be blown away.
Now, most recently, we've seen your co-star, Daisy Edgar-Jones, in Fresh alongside Sebastian Stan. And in this film, she plays Kaya, the main character. Can you tell us a little bit about this energy exchange back and forth? Because things seem very tense between your two characters.
Well, I think it says in the the trailer, to be suspected or be treated one way and then to be hunted is a different story. And I think that's where she kind of feels like where she's at. So yeah, there's a lot of mistrust on her side for the community and especially law enforcement. So I think she's been outcast by this community for so long that she's not willing to go down without a fight. She's a very resilient young lady who has done. She has learned the secrets of the marsh. She has learned how she can adapt and how she can make a living and survive. And it really is here's somebody who's independent, who's created a living for herself. She finds her own voice. She refuses to be overlooked, cast aside by this community. And it's eventually you'll see that she's she manages to not only survive, but she thrives against all the odds that are thrown against her. So it's not just a feeling that the tenseness between the hunter and the huntee,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the lack of trust in the whole community.
Now, this is all set in the 50s, late 60s in Louisiana. And as I understand it, the film was filmed in Louisiana.
Now, it's actually the film was set in North Carolina.
In North Carolina, okay.
The marshes of North Carolina. But we did shoot it in Louisiana, in the middle of summer. Mm-hmm. So, the sweat and the things that you see are very real.
Gotcha.
The bugs are very, very real. The mosquitoes have landing lights to let you know they're coming in. And there's a couple scenes where and you're dealing with, the elements. We had some storms that came through that flooded one of the sets.
Oh, wow.
One scene we shot and these horseflies were just absolutely unbelievable. They were hitting us left and right.
I believe it.
The sting or bite, I guess you'd say, is pretty intense.
And so I'm just, wondering, when you're not working in the spotlight, among other things, I hear you like to go-kart. Is that like a childhood happy memory that you've just kind of brought in with you, or is that something you picked up during fatherhood?
Well, I wanted to go-kart for as long as I can remember. I have been a racing fan since I was about 7 years old. Got my first slot car track. And I've watched NASCAR and IndyCar and Formula One all my life, NASCAR mostly. Been to many races. I actually worked as a host for Valvoline at the Daytona 500 for a couple of years, and got up on stage and got to do what you get to do, is interview people, and had a blast doing that. So, they had a kart track open up here in town. This is it's a 1.1 mile real racing circuit that has multiple configurations that you can use. And so I got into karting, racing karts, and they'll do about 70, 80 miles an hour.
Oh.
So it's very fun to do. That's one of my hobbies. Unfortunately, with the acting picking up, I kind of got out of it. I got married and decided I wanted to spend more time with my wife and family. Mm-hmm. So I gave that up. And that was, it was fun. I didn't have to win. I never won, but it was just fun getting out there and just playing. And then my son and I go golfing. One of my sons, I have 3 boys. And we go golfing and, baseball, hit baseball, go to baseball games in the summer. And so, it's I have a lot of hobbies, a lot of working out in the yard. And even at this point, I'll walk into Publix or Home Depot and I've been working out in the yard and I need something. And I go in there and I'm tripping and sweat and mud and everything else. And
Just a regular Tuesday, huh? Oh, no.
Just a regular day, yeah.
So now I need to know, because yes, you are a family man. Does your family, or rather your role as a father, affect how you pick up roles now?
Yeah, to some degree, yeah, because there's some of the roles that you have to, especially when you're dealing with, personal tragedy or something. I had a role in The Resident on Fox that one of the resident doctors was my son, played my son, and he gets into an accident, and I have to go in and with my wife and be distraught and worried and everything else. So, that gives you a little perspective that you have real kids and you kind of get an idea of what it feels like to have something like that happen. Another one on Graceland, I played a father again. So, some of those you get to pull off of real experiences.
Right, yeah. Well, then, how about this? Let's flip the script. Has there ever been a project that didn't turn out as planned?
Well, from in my backyard, yes, a lot of those. But as far as film projects or TV, Yeah, I mean, I've shot one pilot that we shot one episode, and it did not get picked up. But that was, I was on stage in it was set in a county fair, and I'm a county figurehead, and I'm on stage, and we're shooting from like 10:30 at night till 7 in the morning, and I have to do this big monologue on stage in front of 650 extras and marching band and beauty queens and the whole 9 yards.
Oh.
And so I was disappointed that one didn't get picked up, but I think I did that scene about 50 times.
50 times. Oh, that can't be good for the ego, can it?
Yeah, you start, when you repeat something over and over again, your mind just kind of gets garbled and you spit out words that weren't there in the original script. And then you wonder where the heck that came from. And yeah, that's happened many times. I look at the lead actor and go, croissant? I have no idea. I'm in a car.
Well, then, generally speaking, is there ever a project, or have you come across a project, or rather, let me rephrase this. What is it about a project that makes you go, okay, this is the one?
Great writing is paramount. And there's projects that have gone along that I never get to be a part of. The Walking Dead is one of them. I have so many friends that are in The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, and I did audition for it, but never landed a role there. So yeah, there's a lot of projects that there's a new one out now that I can't talk about, but looks like it's going to be absolutely amazing. There's another one shooting in somewhere else that I can't talk about, but it's great writing. It's looking at the team behind it, the producers, directors, and who's shooting it, the whole 9 yards. And those are the ones you go, yeah, I really want that. So,
right.
There's more than a few projects that I've missed out on.
Now, I want to circle back to a point because we were talking about how you were midway through reading the book before you got the part. Now, a lot of people aren't necessarily fans of movie adaptations of books. So, how do you feel about that yourself? Do you think that this film has done it justice?
Well, I think the one thing that people need to, I think the film. Well, I haven't seen the whole film.
Okay.
So I hope so, but I think anytime you're taking a book of so many pages and you have to bring that in to where the book is going to include little nuances of that's where that screen adaptation really takes hold. And so I think the books and the movies you can't really compare too closely, because if you did it by the book, it'd get really boring in a movie. And it'd be a very long movie.
Yes, indeed.
It really would be a very, very long movie. So there has to be edits made, and you hope that all the rights, the right ones are made. And I think with this one, I think they nailed it.
Well, the trailer looks fantastic, and I truly can't wait to see it. But that's all the time that we have for today. Where the Crawdads Sing is in theaters July 15th. Thank you so much for listening to our conversation. Today, I have been chatting with Bill Kelly. This is Keisha Say with Next Big Thing. Thank you so much, Bill, for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.